Thanks.
Batter up, like Louis said, batter up, and it's not Monday night; it's Tuesday night. Welcome everybody. This is In the Batter's Box, the NGSC Sports Weekly Baseball Show. I better get myself set to get this shared out to all of you. But in the meantime, would you believe that I don't have the website up, John? Of course you believe that.
Of course,
So in the meantime, while I'm getting the website up, I'll say we are joined by the co-host at 6 p.m. Harem gets underway soon, so start dialing.
Yes.
Indeed.
Batter's box, Mr. Louis Tenor. Louis.
Ralph. Yeah, you hate those Yankees.
Game losing streak. Anytime you guys are ready to lose 15.
18-2, yeah, I know. Ugh.
Straight. Co-creator, partner, friend, engine that does all that stuff. You're right now. Co-host of In the Batter's Box, Mr. John Doucette. John?
Ralph, as always, good to be with you.
All right. John, you heard that? You there?
I did, yes, I did hear that.
I did not hear you. There was a break here, but I think I've got my audio set. Remember the website. It is NGSCsports.com, where you catch all your current. Will you see? You will see, the ML Weekly Digest. MLB. I'm not sure. That is brought to you by where'd it go? There we go. Michael Bodzenta, pitcher in record pace. No Sherlock. Man, do those Colorado.
Oh, horrible.
I guess that's a lot of news. Also, if you log on to wrong way. Log on to the web. Sammy Sportface gives us joyously sounding off on artistic voice book. Not a clue, but okay. We're not going to argue with Sammy. By the way, yes, one of our other newer writers, interns, Zachary Worcel, gives us the rematch for Lord's Finals. It is the Stanley Cup. The Edmonton Oilers. They're going to try Canada. Hockey Canada. Well, hockey is king. They haven't won Lord Stanley's Cup in over 3 decades. And Edmonton to get that done. Last but not least, let's see here. No, that's an old one. Okay, so let's see where we're at right here. We're good right here. Everything is good. Just making sure the coverage here. And look, as always, I never put the intro up, right? Because that was part of the intro. But also part of the intro is this. Last year, we got to watch the Chicago White Sox basically make them losing like that. You know you're watching something that you're not going to see for. You're not going to see it again for a while. That's usually how it works. It didn't work that way. This It didn't work that to tell last year's Chicago White Sox what's the saying they use these days? Hold my beer. Hey John, no, Colorado's really bad.
Well, they're on pace to lose 137 games. That's how bad they are.
Worse than I am.
Yeah.
I mean, the White Sox were bad enough last year, losing 121 games to set the American League record. And we thought, well, hey, you're not going to see that again in our lifetime. Well, it looks like the Rockies might be on pace to even be worse than that. Who would have thought that back-to-back years will produce two of the worst losing seasons in baseball history by two teams? I didn't think that's even humanly possible. I mean, the White Sox were bad enough last year, but this takes the cake. I mean, we're now on June 3rd. It took them until yesterday to reach their 10th win of the season when you're about 60 games in. I'm like, what the hell? How bad can one team be?
Well, they've lost. They've had four 8-game losing streaks, and they've gone 4-28 on the road.
Yeah, I mean, I know they're losing, but how do you explain this? I mean, how can one team be that bad?
What?
If you're an expansion team, yeah, of course. But this is a
They did it last
team
year.
for almost 30 years. It's embarrassing.
I am having technical difficulties here. I don't know why.
You seem to be
I'm
breaking
going to
up.
close this whole other window because it doesn't want to work. All right.
Okay.
Shut down all the other windows that I usually keep up because somehow, some way, I've got a bad connection down because my brothers and my brother and cousin don't know how to shut up. Twitter and social media, and I'm glad we came up after that, John.
Yeah, yes.
All right, let me try to get this up here. I'm working on the issue here. I'm taking this out. We'll come back to Major League Baseball. But we are going to talk about a story, John, a really nice story. Major League Baseball and Athletes Unlimited Softball League make a deal. If you're wondering who Athletes Softball League is, who they represent, John's going to tell us about it in just a second. But the most important thing about this is attention is happening. The attention is happening. People are paying attention. And Major League Baseball just took an initiative. I'll go into it afterwards. John.
Well, last Thursday morning, for those people that watch the early morning shows, in this case, the CBS This Morning show, Rob Manfred, the commissioner of Major League Baseball, and Kim Nig, who is the commissioner of this league, appeared on that show, spent about a half an hour on that show, and announced that there was going to be a partnership, an initiative between Major League Baseball and the Athletes Unlimited Softball League that's going to provide the players with an opportunity to be a part of the social media platforms that Major League Baseball has. They're going to also be at the All-Star game when it comes up in July. And there's going to be a financial investment done by Major League Baseball into this league to get it up and running, which will be this coming weekend. In fact, this Saturday, the league will get started. It's a significant move by Major League Baseball. And when Kim Nig was a part of the commissioner's office, she did begin the process of exploring the idea of Major League Baseball getting involved with softball. And it's based on that exploration that this has come to pass. But the 4 jerseys from the 4 teams that will be in the league this year are already on sale at the Major League Baseball merchandise shop in New York. I don't know if they're on sale at all the ballparks across Major League Baseball, but I would expect that they will be. She also said during that appearance on that show that the league is hoping to expand to 6 teams for next year. So they would add 2 more. And as of now, it looks like everything's going forward. MLB Network is going to broadcast the game on Sunday night, and they're going to be a part of this as one of the broadcast outlets along with ESPN. And so it appears that Major League Baseball has decided that softball is something to get involved in, and they have decided to do it.
About time. Softball. I mean, the women's softball league has grown in
Yeah,
popularity.
from MLB.com. Yeah, I know. No, go ahead, Louis.
Yeah, so it has been on popularity, especially in the last 5 years. So I'm not surprised that MLB and the softball league have made a deal. It was a long time coming, I think. I mean, softball's probably getting the respect it deserves. I mean, it's been around forever, and but it's only in more recent years that we're starting to get the recognition. So it's about time that a move like this was made. It was long overdue.
Long overdue, that's for sure. And what I was saying at first, I can get into it now. So we watched the WNBA, and I always tell a story how my wife and daughter and I waited 2 years for that league to come, and many people waited who followed in women's sports and true fans of sports who are not chauvinistic pigs. But the WNBA has had its struggles, and when you look at the relationship between the NBA and the WNBA, look at the disparity in money. It's like, come on, guys. You don't think that somehow you could? So what I'm getting at, there's still a lot that the NBA could do to help the WNBA get bigger. The offices, people in charge. In this case right here, I like the way MLB take the initiative. And from MLB.com, said receiving June 7th and Major League Baseball pitching in. John gave us a detail, but I just like the first line that it says, in a first of a kind partnership with a women's professional sports league. That is the only part, John, I wanted to read about that because, again, MLB taking the initiative. How do they say? Instead of being reactive, they're being proactive. This is a vision, in my opinion, John. But sports and the explosion of women's sports now. Let's get in on it. And let's get in on it on the forefront.
The only league that hasn't done this is the National Hockey League. They have no financial commitment of any kind with the PWHL. And they made that clear back in September when the league was about to begin its second season. That is the only league in terms of women's professional league that is on its own. And so far, so good, as they finished their second season and they're looking forward to beginning their third season in the fall. But other than that, everybody else has a bit of a partnership, as you say, the WNBA with the NBA and now Major League Baseball and softball. But the Women's Hockey League is the only one that has nothing going on with the National Hockey League, and apparently it's going to stay that way.
It's good to see it. It's, guys, as we get into our 60s and go into our 70s, I can't wait to see, hey, 10 years from now, where is this at? We've got the National Women's Soccer League now on TV. Of course, you got the W. This is softball. I mean, this is softball, John. It's not like I think it's a great. It's a great move by MLB. I really like them to take that initiative. Let's see if others.
Well, what I find interesting about all of this is we're talking about a barnstorming tour for the first year. They're going to be playing in different parts of the country. They'll start in Rosemont, Illinois. They're going to go out to the West Coast. Pacific Northwest in particular, and then eventually end in Alabama. That'll be the first phase of this season. And then in the month of August, they're going to play an entire month's worth of all-star games that's going to hopefully continue the process of, again, creating the relationship between the fan base and the players. And so by the time we get to Labor Day weekend, I think you're going to know whether or not this is actually going to work. The corporate part to this, I think, is still really hasn't changed here. I think Major League Baseball's investment is really going to offset what corporate America has not done here. And that is the difference between the PWHL and the rest of these leagues. The PWHL has the corporate money. It is corporate money coming from Canada for the most part, but they do have corporate money coming in, whereas the rest of these leagues need to have a partnership with their big brother, so to speak, to allow the financial part of this to work.
Well, good luck to this league, and kudos to Major League Baseball for what looks like a obvious great move and a great investment. So we go to our segment, of course, this past week in Major League Baseball. So that I hate the Yankees. I mean, it just...
Yeah, we know.
I wake up, I go to sleep, I eat breakfast, I eat dinner, I brush my teeth. Not all in that order. I hate the Yankees. Those are daily things that I commit to. Other things you forget, but I never forget. But, Louis.
Yes.
Aaron Judge.
Phenomenal year. Phenomenal year.
I as much as I hate the Yankees, man, it's just so much fun to watch this, guys. I'm watching Yankee games so I can watch Aaron Judge. Let me correct myself. I have Yankee games on the television. I'm not really watching them. I have them on the television, right, and I pay attention when Aaron Judge comes up. He's putting on a show, Louis. And by the way, the Yankees are playing good. Okay, I got it all. Okay, there you go.
Yeah. I mean, you can't deny the year he's having. It's almost like when he had the 62 home runs back a few years ago, and he's living up to the potential here. He's on pace. I think he'll even break that record. Much to, of course, all the non-Yankee fans out there, but you can't deny the year he's been having, and it's why the Yankees are in first place where they are. Like I told you at the beginning of the season, okay, maybe they'll get a little bit of a slump early on, but they'll pick it up and they'll get in first place by the end of May. And look at them now. Never underestimate the Yankees.
John, for the month. Oh, but it's going to be a hard episode for me to get through. John, for the month. No, not now. Leave me alone. I'm trying to read something. For the last month, Aaron Judge, of course, named AL Player of the Month. Judge led all qualified hitters with a 1.251 OPS, slashing 364, 453, 798, launching 11 home runs. In just 26 games, he accumulated a 2.2 WAR.
Yeah.
What else is there to say, John?
Well, there's nothing else to say about him, but there's certainly plenty to say about that team, because that team still is not beating teams that have above 500 records. And they're taking advantage of a schedule that is allowing them to beat up on the under 500 teams and the teams that are around 500, but they're still having issues with those teams that are above 500. And this past weekend in Los Angeles was a prime example of that. This team has got to demonstrate that they can beat the teams above 500 if they're going to be something come fall.
Let me see if I can switch this. All right. Sounds like, all right. Bad reception I'm dealing with, guys. Also, Shohei, can you see? Shohei, can you see? Not to be outdone by Aaron Judge. Jeez, I don't. I'm starting to try to marvel at the numbers that these two guys are going to end up with at the end of the year. Hey, John, they talking about Shohei pitching again?
Yep, they are, and they expect him to be back pitching again probably after the All-Star break.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't know if it was going to come this year, actually, but you knew that was coming. Hey, John, there's a kid. Where is No, I want to go to the story. Okay, I want to go to the story. I'm trying to go to a story here, and what are they giving me here? I don't understand. I Here we go. Where are we? John, I'm trying. Here he is. Jack Caglianone.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Making his Major League Baseball debut with Kansas. Yeah.
And making it as an outfielder.
You know a little. Hey, Overall Award winner. He had 68 homers over 23 and 24 while flirting with triple digits as a pitcher. Right? He's just going to hit, right, John?
Yeah, he's just going to hit. The Guardians have convinced him that being an everyday player makes more sense than trying to be an everyday player and pitcher. And so they put him in the outfield to take advantage of an arm that's very good. And hopefully, once he learns how to be an outfielder, he's going to be what I would call an above-average outfielder in terms of catching and throwing.
I'm going to try to get in on my tablet since we are having an absolutely. Am I breaking up to you guys that much?
Yes, at times, yes.
Yes.
I don't know what's going on. I won't lie to you. So I'm going to try to switch devices.
Okay.
And see if somehow that helps us. But in the meantime, MLB, John, as I'm working on this, please tell some stories of Major League Baseball this past week.
Well, I think that the stories this past week would certainly be that the Yankees and Dodgers met after the World Series, and what that series was like at Dodger Stadium with the Yankees having some issues, particularly on Saturday night. Last night, for instance, the road teams were very good in Major League Baseball. They went a perfect 7-0, which is a rarity with Major League Baseball. I mean, usually you don't get a perfect week or a perfect night rather for the road teams. But yeah, that was very good last night for all the road teams. And again, I think that you have division races at the moment that are pretty good, but there's still some room for improvement for really a lot of teams here.
Yes, there is. And you guys hear me loud and clear now?
I do.
Absolutely.
All right.
Speaking of Dodgers, they're becoming more like a train wreck, if you ask me, because they've got 15 pitchers on the injured list now.
Yes, they do. They're going to be starting to get some of those pitchers back, but yeah, they've got 14, 15 pitchers on that list, and yet look what they've done without them.
Yeah, that's the scary part.
You took the words out of my mouth, Louis. That's when it starts to get scary, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of unusual. I mean, you're losing, most of your pitchers, and yet you're still continuing to win. You got a 2-game lead over the Padres. I mean, despite the fact you are this train wreck, how do you still manage to win? I mean, you need good pitching, right? You need good pitching as well as good hitting to stay in the game. And yet, the pitchers are getting beat up, injured, and somehow they still manage to win.
They win because of the depth that they possess.
Obviously, a lot of depth.
That's the key. That's the key to that team, John, that you mentioned right there. Is that depth that they have that has allowed them? Because I mean, think about it. A lot of other teams in this position are. Well, do I really have to say it? And here they are. And here they are.
I mean, it's a team that really isn't all that concerned about the regular season. They're just concerned about basically one month.
True. Very true. Very, 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 very true. So I look at the standings here. Holy crap! Hey, John, this is not going to get fixed in Baltimore.
Not only is it not going to get fixed in Baltimore, it's going to continue to do very well in Detroit. I mean, those are the two stories in the American League. The fact that the Orioles are continuing to struggle, even with a change in manager, which really hasn't done them any good, and that the Detroit Tigers continue to be the best team in baseball and the best team in the American League. And they're doing it with Spencer Torkelson playing well, with Javi Baez playing well, and with a pitching staff that frankly has been just that good. I mean, if the Dodger pitching staff can be good with what they don't have and what they're using, look at what the Tigers are doing with really what they have.
And here's the thing, John, with the Tigers. Let me try to get this. Come on. Let me get this right. Here's the thing with the Tigers.
Yeah,
they're playing two-way baseball, John. They're scoring runs and they're playing defense, therefore limiting their opponent's runs. So it isn't because, yes, we can go to the players and the stats and let's talk about the key. But the fact that they're playing such sound baseball on both sides, that's what makes this so scary. Because remember, John, this started last year, of course, for the Tigers. I would be the first to admit, we talked about, let's see about the carryover into this season. I didn't know John was going to carry over like this.
And that's the thing. I mean, I think most people really thought that the carryover wasn't going to be that significant and that the rest of the league would catch up to them. But instead, they have created some separation between themselves and everybody else.
And speaking of separation, that's what's happening now in the AL. So, hey, folks, it's still June. June just started. And the separation is now 6.5 games over the Indians, 7 games over Minnesota, 8.5 games over Kansas City. All teams above 500. Mm-hmm. All 3 teams above 500. And the thing about this team, John, is it's like they're just getting started. So it's almost as if in a month we're going to be talking about, looks like the AL Central might be done.
And it's very interesting because all those teams could end up being playoff teams.
Yeah.
And in the AL West, John, I don't know who. Yes, Seattle continues to lead. Houston struggle, but these are teams that are barely above 500. It's not the same AL West. Remember this Houston team. We talked a lot about the Houston team eventually falling back to the pack. They have fallen back to the pack, John.
Yeah, and injuries have hurt that pitching staff. And once they get that pitching staff back healthy again, I think the Astros may still end up being the team in the West. You know, the loss of Kyle Tucker, the free agency to the Cubs, and then Brinkman to the Red Sox certainly hurt that offense a bit. But I think once they get that pitching staff back together again, I think they could end up being the best team in the West.
8-2 in their last 10 games, as opposed to 5-5 for one of their rivals. The New York Mets have overtaken the Philadelphia Phillies to retake the lead in the National League East. You know, John, as a Met fan, Louis, as a Met fan over the last couple of years, let's not even talk about what really made the news about the Mets. Is right. the decisions and the moves that the Mets had made that had left the Mets fan base wondering, you know, Steve, You got all this money you want to spend. What are you doing? Looks like they put it together. Although Juan Soto, like the Baltimore Orioles right now, sucks. Good things are happening in Citi Field, Louis.
Yeah, they sure are. Both sides. And well, Sato is, I think part of the reason why. I mean, they didn't sign to an 11-year contract for nothing worth $720 gazillion. I mean, he's shown that the Mets are for the right team, and he is paying off for him. So he was a big part of this. I know you're gonna say, "Oh, he's just one guy." No, but he's made a tremendous difference for the Mets. Because last year they were kind of struggling, but this year they're right back where they are. And it's got to be a two-way race, I think, between the Phillies and the Mets, has been showing, because the Phillies took over last week, and now the Mets. It's going to be like a ping pong match. They're going to go back and forth.
And the Washington Nationals have now overtaken the Atlanta Braves, John. But back real quick to the Mets, John. Of course, bounce back, as Louis just mentioned. It's going to be a battle, a two-team battle, it looks like, with the Phillies and the Mets. And mind you that Juan Soto really hasn't done jack crap yet. So maybe if he gets his you-know-what in gear, because if he doesn't, well, first of all, that's a lot of money to throw away in season number one. And that'll allow the Phillies a chance to take the East.
Well, you're not going to throw that money away, so obviously Soto's going to keep on playing. It's going to have to be the rest of that team to basically support what he's not giving them, which is home runs, RBIs, and a bit more of an enthusiastic approach to playing every day. But still, that pitching staff has still been pretty good. That lineup has been good enough without him really producing on a nightly basis. And still, the Phillies are also a team, again, a bit older, and a window of opportunity that may be starting to close. But still, they have stated that we're still here to have to deal with, and this may be last shot for them. Who knows? So I expect that Dave Dombrowski will do something at the deadline to improve that team. I expect that the Mets will do it too, because they don't really care at this point based on the contract they gave Soto. And so because of that, you're looking at two teams that are going to try and load up as best they can, because they figure they're going to see each other in October.
And another feel-good story, this one in the National League. The Chicago Cubs, 37-22, 4 games up on the St. Louis Cardinals. Here's the thing that gets me with the Chicago Cubs. Yes, John, a team playing good baseball, but it's really important. You're expected to win your games at home. The majority, the better percentage of your games at home, you're expected to win. It's on the road where your season can make a difference. And at 17-11, the Cubs are just playing good baseball on the road.
Let's face it, if you play about 500 on the road and 500 at home, you make the playoffs. That's how this works. The other thing is, with the Cubs playing as well as they are, it's allowing the Chicago White Sox to be irrelevant, which is probably a good thing for them. They're not getting any attention, and they can go through their rebuilding process without really much fanfare here, which I think is also a good thing. But again, the Kyle Tucker move, when you think about what the Cubs did, they let Bellinger go. They replaced him with Tucker. That seems to have worked, even though Tucker spent time on the injured list. That is a move that seems to have worked. There are other moves they've made as well that's also allowed this team to be much better than I think people anticipated in a division that is still very winnable for themselves, for the Cardinals, and for the Milwaukee Brewers, who have also started to play well.
Yeah. And and Louis, we've always talked on the show about the St. Louis Cardinals. They're a team that pay attention to their roster, but they have such a winning tradition that they always find a way to win. 33 and 26, 7 games above 500, 4 games behind the Cubs.
Yeah, turning into quite a division here. And speaking of the divisions, of course, the AL Central is no longer a joke for the most part. But AL Central, Cubs looking like they did back in 2016.
Yeah, it's looking better in both centrals, right? Usually in the AL and NL Central. That's
Yeah, by
usually
now they're
our,
like,
yeah.
by now they're like, dead in the water.
And by the way, Louis, while you're speaking, Louis, who's the only team in Major League Baseball that can beat the Los Angeles Dodgers?
The Dodgers themselves.
So how many injuries they got, John?
Well, they got like 14, 15 pitchers that are on the injured list.
Yep.
And that goes all the way back to spring training. And it also goes back to really the end of last year. Most of that bullpen that was a part of last year's championship team at the moment is on the injured list. And because they were used the way that they were in that postseason, it's not surprising that those guys ended up being on the injured list to start this year. They really got abused in the month of October, but it worked. It got them a championship. But at the same time, it put all these guys on the injured list, which has forced the Dodgers to rebuild that bullpen with a starting rotation that, for the most part, has been untouchable.
Well, they don't have a problem scoring runs. With that lineup, they don't have a problem scoring runs. Yeah, you need your pitching staff, obviously, so they're going to have to work on that. But at 36 and 24, I know the injury. I know. But at 36 and 24, one game above the 34 and 24 San Diego Padres, 3 games better than the 33 and 27 San Francisco Giants. I ask you both, John, I start with you. We are getting close to the All-Star break. Is this a disappointing season so far in Los Angeles?
No, I think the injuries have allowed them the opportunity to plug other people into these roles, and it's worked. And I do think that when they get everybody back, and hopefully that comes up in July and into August and September, they get everybody back. I do think that they're going to run away and hide like we've all thought that they were going to. Again,
I agree.
Dodgers don't care about the regular season. The Dodgers just care about 1 month. And because they only care about 1 month, they can go through this and not have to worry because they know they're going to play in October.
They know they're going to play in October. That's going to lead into it. The next segment in just a second. But yeah, Louis, I'm just saying that. Yeah, I understand, but most of the injuries are pitchers. There's nothing wrong with the guys in the lineup. They're scoring runs. They're doing their job, and they've only won 36 games. Remember, this is a team we were talking about possibly having 15 more wins by now.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say it's a disappointment. I mean, and once the lineup does get back, fully healthy, the Dodgers are going to be a much more dangerous team than they are now, and I think they're just going to run away with the NL West. So
I've seen some interviews and read some posts from Dodger fans. They're not happy.
I'm not happy because that's okay. It's just a regular season. They'll become happy when they get to the postseason and we start that up again. And by the way, give credit to the San Francisco Giants. I mean, that team has really done a very good job of staying in the race. I think Buster Posey has demonstrated that he was the right guy for the right team in his new job. And I think that the Giants are looking to improve that baseball team to give themselves a chance to potentially be a playoff team in October as well. That could end up being a 3-team playoff division.
Yeah. Good point, John. Good point. So I have to do it this way first. When the Minnesota Timberwolves were eliminated by the Oklahoma City Thunder, it was a post-game press conference, and Minnesota Timberwolves veteran guard Mike Conley had a really good career and in search of, like any veteran, his last chance at an NBA title.
Mm-hmm.
He's watched the last 2 years end in the Western Conference Finals. Got to be frustrating. And Anthony Edwards, a.k.a. Ant, was brought forth that scenario. His response basically was like, "No, I'm good. I get plenty more chance. I'm young. I'm 23. I got plenty more chances at this." Mr. Anthony Edwards, sir, young man, let me explain something to you. Maybe you should go back in history because I'm sure that John and I could do a show on our own. Louis will probably could help us too. Just bringing up all kinds of examples of professional athletes who were projected to, went to teams who were projected to be great, play in the postseason the whole time, win championships. Didn't happen. It didn't happen. And the fact that you would think that you can make it to a conference finals on a regular basis in any sport, you must be young and naive to say that because it just isn't that easy. Which turns us to the road to Omaha begins. So, John, as we have followed the baseball season, two things are certain: the SEC and the ACC.
Well,
If you
unfortunately, this time, the SEC took their beating.
Right. But, John, two teams who I would say confidently played their season. Remember what you just said about the Dodgers? They're not worried about the regular season. They know they're going to make the postseason. I don't know that yet. John. They should. Don't you think, John, that the University of Vanderbilt and the Texas Longhorns also played the long game all season long, knowing that they would make their trip to Omaha?
I wouldn't put Vandy in that category. That was a very young baseball team. You looked at that starting nine, it was loaded with freshmen. And I do think that when you get into a situation with a bigger stage for 18-year-old, 19-year-old kids, that sometimes what happened to them over the weekend takes place. Look, they had an 8-game win streak. They went through the SEC tournament. They just blitzed their way through that. But then they got caught in a first-round game against Wright State and a kid by the name of Cam Allen who was throwing a no-hitter against them.
Man, what a beauty. Oh, my God.
And the whole thing, unfortunately, fell apart for them, even though they would end up winning that game because they would hit 3 home runs against Wright State's bullpen. But Cam Allen, I think, really exposed the youngness of that lineup. And eventually, Vanderbilt would get beat by Wright State again on Sunday, and that would eliminate them. But I do think that performance on Friday by Cam Allen exposed what Vanderbilt was, which was a very young team. Now, I think in Tim Corbin's case, here is the possibility for him. He's got to find a way to keep this freshman core together. He's got to find a way to keep them out of the transfer portal. Because if he can do that, the next 2 years, that team is going to be a beast.
Oh, boy. You're not
Absolutely.
kidding.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, what Tim Corbin has built here in Vanderbilt, for Vanderbilt baseball, it just, again, a team that sailed along during the regular season, losing ground, gaining ground, and then at the right time got hot. But they stopped scoring runs. And when you don't score like you scored all year, as John just said, Wright State exposed, and they won. UTSA, University of Texas San Antonio. Hey, who? Who? Ask the Texas Longhorns.
And UTSA beat them twice in that region, and that's how Texas got beat. And again, we're talking about a team that has been together for several years. They've matured together, played a ton of games together, and it clicked for them at the right moment and has allowed them to get to a super regional for the very first time in their program history. And when you think of the state that they're in and the other schools that they have to deal with in that state to gain players that would give them an opportunity to do this, it demonstrates what the coaching staff's been able to do in terms of recruiting and in the portal, and to be able to put something together that has now worked for them. I mean, this was a life-changing moment for Texas San Antonio on Sunday night when they knocked off the Longhorns in in Longhorn country, by the way. A definite life-changing moment for that program and for Murray State, who would do the same thing on Monday night. They made their first ever regional appearance
Yes,
and
sir.
won their first tournament game since 1979. It's been that long for Murray State to put themselves in this position. But God, that game against Ole Miss last night, in which they had a 12-3 lead, and then that bullpen.
Oh, they almost blew it.
Oh my God. They hung on by the skin of their teeth, but they did it. And for them, again, it's a life-changing moment.
When the score became 12-9, I think it was, I told myself,
Yeah.
oh, I'm sorry, Murray State. I think they're gonna finish you off.
And then when it got to 12-11, I thought for sure they were going to get finished.
Yeah. I was waiting. I was waiting for the winning run. They were just, you could feel it, and somehow the baseball gods were there. Now, Wright State did eventually lose to Louisville.
Yes.
But the baseball gods were there for Wright State, and they were there for Murray State, and they were there for UTSA. And remember, John, you were talking about Coastal Carolina and that bracket they were in. It worked out.
Well, that was an ugly, ugly series.
Oh, man. Oh.
The nonsense that took place off the field, and there have been videos that have been posted on social media.
Took away from the whole series.
Sure did. And it's unfortunate that the Florida Gators and the head coach acted the way he did, especially on Sunday, and complained about everything and anything he could possibly think of. And I understand why the Coastal Carolina coaching staff reacted the way they did, especially after the game, in which they really went after Kevin O'Sullivan the way that they did. And I understand it. I get it. I've seen the videos. They're ugly videos.
They're ugly. They're horrible.
There's
horrible.
no denying that.
No.
It'll be interesting to see what the NCAA eventually does, if anything, about this, and they should, because the way that he acted and the way that he was attempting to bully people left and right to get whatever he wanted for Sunday it's unacceptable.
And then the slur and all this, to then act like you forgot or don't remember or whatever. Yeah, the NCAA needs to come down on them hard. They need to come down on them hard.
And by the way, so does the school. And the school put out an apology statement that they put out on social media themselves, which really doesn't say anything. And I was hoping it would, but it didn't. And so it does appear that the school is going to give O'Sullivan a pass here. But I think the NCAA needs to make sure that doesn't involve them as well. And I do think that they need to step in and suspend him, at least for the beginning of next year, because the video and the language that was used to people that were representing the NCAA.
Oh no, it's horrible, man. It was.
And the associate athletic director at Coastal Carolina is the kind of stuff that just can't happen.
It was like you thought you were watching a movie, right? An R-rated movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't understand, and the fact that Coastal Carolina beat him was good. That was a good thing.
Oh yeah.
They deserve to get knocked out.
But why do you this is a day and age where you can't do anything anywhere without a video coming out. So
it looked like it was somebody's camera phone that was recording the conversation he was having with the representatives from the NCAA and the associate athletic director from Coastal Carolina. And it exposed everything and anything that he did before that elimination game really was played.
Well, this weekend, they continue to play ball.
Tell you what, the one thing I was disappointed in USC losing to Oregon State. Would have loved to have seen USC make the Super Regionals. It's been a long time since USC has been relevant in college baseball. There was a time when they used to make the tournament and used to make Omaha every year when Rod Data was the coach of that team. But it's been a long time for USC. They gave themselves an opportunity. It's unfortunate that they lost to Oregon State twice and consequently got eliminated on Monday. But that was kind of too bad. And also, LSU last night, they survived as well. Little Rock, Arkansas had them on the ropes and unfortunately couldn't finish that game off.
Oh, yeah. 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 That was the patented punch after punch after punch, and they withstood it. Yeah, they sure did.
And then the defending national champions had their issues with Wake Forest and finally came through and took care of that last night. And now they'll head to Arkansas to play the Razorbacks next weekend. So at least there'll be one SEC team that will make it to Omaha. You know what? Tennessee is another one. I'll tell you what. That's a team that's got attitude that you really do have to either appreciate or dislike, one way or the other.
Yeah, you were going to my last team there. It's been a nail biting season at time with Tennessee baseball, and they just made it. I mean, they just made it.
They just made it. Yes,
they just made it. So, John, I'm going to finish the baseball segment with this question. We know that with college baseball, again, ACC, SEC, we know. But we watch some Goliaths go down.
Oh, yeah.
We're watching a few teams that are making their first appearance in the Super Regionals, and they have a shot to get to Omaha. I don't want to use the word parity, John, but I think, is it safe to say that in the last few years we've talked more about the smaller school teams making strides, or the non-ACC, SEC teams making bigger strides in college baseball?
And with the roster reduction that's about to take place when the College World Series is over, going from a 40-man roster to 34 is going to, I think, continue that process.
Hot damn. Well, it happens Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Friday through Sunday.
By the way, I'm glad we delayed the show, obviously, for today, for the games last night. That worked out very well. I was actually stuck in traffic. What was it? Goat. It was goat in the road. What happens when you live in the country?
It's interesting. I mean, the state of Tennessee should have been really riveted to their cable television or whatever to watch what Tennessee was doing with Wake Forest. I'm surprised that there was the issues, because Knoxville should have been pretty much a way off the road.
Tell me about it, Louis.
Yeah.
Final thought.
No, college baseball, you say, it's heating up here in ACC versus the SEC. Should be quite a battle heading into as we get towards Omaha. I mean, we don't really get a chance to follow much around here in this part of the country, but I've seen some, we're getting some scoring highlights, and this looks like to be a pretty good matchup as we head into the what are we, the Super Regionals now?
We are the Supers.
We're in the Super now.
So this will give the meaning to the Super Regionals this weekend. Oh yeah.
The winners, of course, go to Omaha. John, final thoughts?
My final thought is the dynasty in college softball has come to an end. Oklahoma got beat last night by Texas Tech. They got walked off in the 7th inning of that game, and so there will be no 5 in a row for the Oklahoma Lady Sooners as their run in that tournament, and really in college softball has somewhat come to an end as Texas Tech knocked them off last night 3-2. There have been several games in that women's college World Series.
Oh boy!
Oh yeah!
It's John, great baseball.
Absolutely.
Great. My final thought
for this women's softball league, if they can take advantage of what's been going on in Oklahoma City,
right. Mhm. My final thought: staying in college baseball goes to the little guys. Number one, congratulations to the Murray State Racers, not too far from where I'm at in Tennessee. And they're playing a Duke team that I think they can beat.
Yeah, Duke's pretty good, but yeah, I don't take that away from it. Murray State, when they have a lead after 8 innings, is 26-1 this year.
I was gonna say
Wow.
I like the way you did that, John. I was gonna say they're very good. They're a very good uh, team when they're out in front, and that is the one thing that Duke is gonna have to. If Duke wants to win this game, Duke's gonna have to jump on them and jump on them fast.
Duke has got home field advantage, which certainly helps. But yeah, this is. I think for Duke, it's an unexpected opponent too.
And can UTSA continue the dream?
Well, again, they've got nothing to lose. Neither does Murray State, and so you're playing with house money at this point. And because you're playing with house money, why not? The exposure that these two programs are getting.
Oh, and
Help going
and
forward.
to make it to Omaha, there it is, John. And to make it to Omaha, listen, let's throw Coastal Carolina up in there. For these teams to make it to Omaha, but especially teams like UTSA and Murray State, again, like John's saying, that's university changing. That's monumental for these schools. Huge. So,
And the other one would be West Virginia. Even though they're a Power 4 school, West Virginia has never been known as a baseball power in any way, shape, or form themselves.
True.
And they're in a super regional, and they have a chance to get to Omaha too. That's another school that I think could be experiencing a life-changing moment if they can get there too.
Well, here's rooting for a Murray State UTSA championship series.
Well, I don't know if you get a championship series, but it wouldn't shock me if at least one of them gets there.
Their dreams are still alive. I can dream. Right. I can dream. Thank you for joining us, folks. This is In the Batter's Box at the NGSC Sports Baseball Show. We will, without a doubt, be back next week, because if we don't come back next week, it's almost like business suicide, right? How the hell do you not come back next week to not talk Omaha, Nebraska?
Right. Where they'll be going? They'll be going to Omaha next week, and also we can look at the first weekend of this women's softball league to see what that looks like. And I do think if this women's softball league works, then I think softball being a part of the Olympics now becomes automatic.
Yes.
I'm going to do some homework on that league.
Okay.
Heck yeah. All right. Thank you for joining us, folks. You guys have a great night. We'll see you next week. Peace.
All right.